Team Canada is coming home with silver from the first ever Para Ice Hockey Women's World Challenge. So we are talking with head coach Tara Chisholm about the event itself, but also what this means for women's para ice hockey. Can you talk about the significance of this event, like you mentioned, being the first of its kind? And, many people might be surprised to hear that a women's para ice hockey event is not in the Paralympics yet. So yeah, please just expand on the significance of a week like you just had in terms of getting women's para ice hockey to the international level more regularly.
Before this, we had our own organized tournaments between countries when it came to women's para ice hockey, but World Para Ice Hockey, which is our international governing body, which sits underneath the International Paralympic Committee, who is the one that run the Paralympic Games, they have put women's para hockey on their schedule now. So for us, this is a pretty big deal because it gives not only our countries that are already formed, but countries that are looking to form women's teams or have a few women that are interested, but don't necessarily have a goal set as to where to go. Now they know that every year there's going to be a women's tournament that is going to be happening where you can compete with the eventual look to get a women's world championship happening, which is a little bit different than a world challenge. It's a bit more official, and that is needed in order to get to the Paralympic Games. So there's some steps that need to come along the way, but I think having an event that is scheduled every year allows new countries to be able to, set a timeline and a goal as to where they want to go and achieve that, rather than just training to train and not really knowing when the next competition would be.
Many people also might not know that women can compete in the Para Ice Hockey Paralympic event, even though for years and years and years it's been very predominantly men. So can you kind of explain that dynamic and how important that opportunity is, or realistic that opportunity could be for Canadian women who want to play?
So right now, the North American countries, both the United States and Canada, are ranked the top two in the world. So when you look at that in comparison to, you compare it against stand-up or able-bodied hockey, and you'd ask a woman to be able to crack the roster of, let's say, a men's Olympic team or even like an NHL roster, these men's para teams are starting to push the boundaries of what's possible in our sport. So it's not to say that a woman would not be able to do it, but the resources that a man is given as he comes up through the ranks within our para hockey world are a lot different than the resources that a woman receives. So she has some additional barriers that kind of stack up against her with regards to being able to make it there in a top nation team in the world. So it's been done with lower ranking nations where they need the numbers, and a woman can compete with her male counterparts, in a 7th or 8th seed team. But we think that there's a lot of women that can showcase their skills, not just one or two, which is usually what has been selected in the past. So that's why we would like to have more women and therefore showcase themselves in their own game.
Does making para ice hockey a multi-gender sport help the cause for women getting their own event one day? Or is it kind of one of those things that might seem like it's an opportunity, but maybe won't be as helpful?
Yeah, we're under the belief with our team that it causes more harm than good, because it gives people an easy out to say, well, if a woman was good enough, then she would just make our roster. So having it as a mixed sport, but not actually having any women competing, just gives those that are running the men's teams, the mixed teams, but really the men's teams, an easy way to say, but a woman could if she wanted to, if she worked hard enough. And we know that that's not the case. So yeah, that's why we're looking for gender equity in the sport, because, why do women's sports exist at all? Why does, the PWHPA or the WNBA exist? It's because women have their own ability to showcase the sport in a women's only environment and really thrive. And we wouldn't expect it in able-bodied sport to ask a woman to compete, to crack a roster on a men's squad. So why are we doing it in Paralympic sport? I think it's well past its years of that being a reasonable request. So we need to change something.